Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and in this video I'm going to be talking about The Expanse, Season 5. So, the way I would sum this season up is everything is hard and nothing is easy, and everything is a hard scrape in this season. I've seen a lot of people complaining online that they didn't like this season. And a lot of people were disappointed with it. I was actually kind of surprised by that because I really enjoyed this season. I thought it was better than the last season, actually. I don't know. A lot of people seem to not like it. Now, I know there is a controversial twist at the end of the season, which I'm going to talk about when I get to the end of the video. So that might have something to do with it. So first of all, I'm just going to give a quick breakdown of what happens in the season, just a kind of a quick overview, outline, I guess. So this season picks up. Now, last season left off, a spoiler alert if you haven't been watching. Last season left off with, we saw the asteroids that Free Navy were preparing and using like Martian stealth technology to make these asteroids radar invisible, and they were going to sling them at the Earth. That was their plan. And so this is where this season picks up. And so now all the characters are on Tycho Station, and they kind of all decide to go their own way. Everyone goes there, everyone splits up on the station. So the Rossies, they're getting repairs done to it and stuff like that. And so Alex Kamal, he decides to go to Mars. He wants to try to, patch things up with his ex-wife and his kid. And Amos, he goes back to Earth because he wants to look up the whereabouts of a woman that looked after him when he was younger and what happened to her. And then Naomi goes on a quest to find her son. She finds out that her son is alive, and he's with Marcos and Neros. So she wants to go there and try to draw him out of that. And then on top of that, we have Aversarella. She leaves her husband to go to Luna. And then we have the big 9/11 event of this season, where the Earth gets hit with several asteroids. I think it gets hit twice in this and devastates the Earth. I mean, you can imagine if this happened in real life, how devastating it would actually be. And then they realize it was not an accident. It was actually caused by Marcos and Neros and the Free Navy. So we have all these things going on. Plus, we still have Bobby Draper is still on Mars investigating where all the stolen Martian technology is going. So we have all that. And then James Holden, he's the only one that stays behind with the Rosinante. So this season, everyone's spread out. So you have like multiple storylines. Everyone's kind of like on their own quest. That's what's happening with this season. So I'm going to talk about the various storylines and which ones I liked and which ones I didn't like. So I'm going to start off with the ones I found that were least interesting first. So right off the bat, everything with James Holden I thought was kind of boring in this season. It seems like his character kind of took a back seat. Like his character was probably like the least interesting one in this season. There was other seasons where he was more interesting, like season 1 and stuff like that. But it seems like his character has kind of taken it back a bit, especially in this season. And then he teams up with Bull, which is kind of interesting because Bull has a completely different story arc in books from what they did in the show and stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then we also see the death of Fred Johnson in this season too, as well, which was changed from what it is in the books. So this one, wasn't really the most interesting one. I thought, it was kind of a boring one, the whole storyline around James Holden. It's almost like he was just kind of like stuck, like he couldn't really do anything. He was just waiting on Naomi to hear word from her and from everyone else, and he was just kind of stuck there helping the guys repair the Rosinante and stuff like that. So it kind of got more interesting at the end when they were heading towards Marcos and Nero's fleet. And then we gotta have everything with Alex on Mars, which I thought was interesting. They're starting to flesh out his character, which is kind of sucks when you get to the end and you realize what happens to him. But because there's nothing, he doesn't really reconcile with his wife or his kid or anything like that. He kind of tries when he gets back to Mars, and then he gives up. And then he ends up hooking up with Bobby Draper, and they go on this investigation together. He helps her, and they're trying to uncover who's behind the selling of weapons and Martian technology to the Free Navy in this one. But I found the story with Bobby Draper was actually a lot more interesting last season than in this one. I thought her story arc was actually like really interesting. I found in the last season more so than in this one. And then eventually they end up leaving Mars because they get the Razorback and they take off because they want to track down where all the stolen parts and stuff are going. Because then they uncover that it's actually people, high-ranking people within the Martian military that is doing that. And what's interesting is you can see Mars is collapsing. Ever since the ring gates open up, you can see the collapse of Mars. Because the whole thing about Mars in the Expanse is what makes Mars and what holds the Martians together is the shared dream of terraforming Mars into an Earth-like planet. So that's what all Martians are working towards. That's the number one driving thing with their industry and everything like that. And that's what they're all driving for, is they want to one day have Mars just like Earth. And now, well, you have all these other planets, like over 1,000 planets out there that are Earth-like and can support human life. Well, then why waste your time terraforming Mars when you have all these other planets? So you can see that once that shared dream has been taken away from the Martians, that their planet and their society and everything is starting to decay and fall apart. So you can really see that in this season. And the whole idea of the Martian dream, like even the military have lost their confidence, and that's why they're getting into these black market deals, which goes pretty deep, but we'll talk more about it later on. So then there's the whole storyline with Aversarella and Aversarella. I always have such a hard time with her name, that character's name. I find it such a tongue twister. So last season, she lost her seat as Secretary General to this other woman, and now she's powerless at the start of the season, even though she was trying to warn everyone about the what Marcos was doing, and she suspected there was something going on with these rocks, but no one would listen to her. They didn't want to hear it until it was too late. And I thought it was pretty good. They did a good job with her. I found the stuff with her really interesting as well. I thought they did a really good job, and it was like almost frustrating to watch the other people in Earth government there just would not listen to her at all. She kept warning them about Marcos, and they just wouldn't take it seriously, and they just basically underestimated the Free Navy. And then let's get to Drummer. I'm really, really liking this character, I have to be honest. She is like a real kick-ass character, and really liked her in this season. And there was one thing I wanted to see. It didn't happen, but I wanted to see it so bad, is when they did the prisoner exchange. Or not prisoner exchange, the officer exchange with Marcos and Eros, because they had a vote. They had to decide. Because the Marcos slinging the rocks at Earth and attacking Earth with those rocks like changes everything. So now it's not going to be business as usual. So now these belters got to decide, okay, we got to pick a side now, because when Earth comes out with their ships wanting revenge, they're not going to be able to separate the belters who are with Marcos and who aren't with Marcos. It's just they're going to see all belters as responsible for this. And so they figure, well, we got no choice. We got to join Marcos and Eros. So they do this officer exchange. So the woman that comes on board Drummer's ship, this actress did a fantastic job of playing a villainous character, and you just wanted to see her bite the dust so bad. But, I mean, spoiler alert, she eventually does. But when she was on board and she was like, bossing Drummer around, and you could tell, she was like intimidating everyone on the crew. I just wanted Drummer. There was one moment I thought, honestly, God, I thought Drummer was going to pull her sidearm out and pop a cap right between that chick's two eyes. And I wanted her to do it so bad, but she didn't end up doing it. But that one does end up biting the dust, though, but not in the way that I was kind of hoping she did. So yeah, I'm really liking Drummer. She's a really good character. And then there's the whole quest with Naomi going to meet her son, and there's this whole backstory with Naomi about she helped Marcos with this terrorist act that really killed a lot of people, and now she got this huge guilt, this huge weight on her shoulders because of it. So now she's gone to find her son, Philip, and she wants to, she doesn't want the same thing for him. She wants to free him from all that. And her character just goes through hell in this season. Like emotionally, physically, just gets put right through the ringer. And this is, I think, this is how you got to write female characters for science fiction. Characters that actually lose a lot and suffer a lot, and like, their actions have consequences and weight. Because, to watch a character that just constantly wins and comes out on top and never really suffers, it's hard to relate to that. Because I always have the theory that people can relate way more with losing than they can winning. And that's why it's hard to relate to a character that just has everything happen for them and everything just works out. And it just doesn't make for an interesting character. And you see that was like the trend is still kind of going on, the trend of female characters being written like that in recent years. But this is a good example of how they should be written, because then you're really rooting for her, because she's like the underdog. She's really got to use her brains to get out of this jam that she finds herself in this season. She tries to leave, but then her own gets captured, kidnapped by her own son, taken aboard Marcos and Nero's ship. And then, she has to kill one of her longtime friends. Didn't mean to, but had to, when she basically spaced herself, but they thought she was dead, but she had that injection that pumped like extra oxygen into her bloodstream. She was able to make it survive that few seconds through going across that vacuum of space to get to the other ship. But she got like really burnt up and busted up pretty bad doing it, and just barely made it out of that situation alive. And then I got to talk about, that was a really good storyline with Amos going to Earth, find the woman that looked after him and stuff like that. Man, what a great character. He just did such a fantastic job, especially when he's on transit going to Earth and he gets into a fight with those guys in the bathroom. It's just like he's got like this raging beast inside of him that just has to come out every now and then and do a big pile of damage. Or if it doesn't, he's just going to explode. It was like really, really, I really liked his storyline. Really liked his character in this one. Him and on Earth, him with Clarissa, all that stuff was really good. And then when they broke out of that jail, that was awesome. When he climbed to the top and then he got into a scrap with that guy that had all the cyborg implants in him and stuff like that. And how he gets out of it, and he kind of like does a suplex the guy into a big hole. That's how he killed him. Like what an awesome kill. Like just a great character, man. That was good. I like that whole post-apocalyptic look they were going for with Earth and stuff like that. But I will say this about the asteroids hitting Earth thing. It was the picture the novel painted was much worse than what they show in this season. Now, I know they can't go overboard with it because they're limited by budget and stuff like that, right? So they can't do exactly what they did in the book. But in the book, it's way worse than what you see in the show. Like Earth is like almost totally annihilated. And I'm pretty sure Earth gets hit more times with more rocks than just 2, like in the show. So Earth gets just turned into a complete wasteland almost. Like Earth is brought right to the brink of extinction. And you don't really get the sense of that really as much in the season. You kind of still get the feeling like everything still kind of looks normal. Where the sky would be blackened and stuff like that from all the debris thrown up in the air, and it would be way horrible in real life. And it was like much worse in the book, but a fantastic storyline. I really like this character. He's just like this, like, I don't know how to explain it, he's just like a force, that has no moral compass. So he has to always be with someone who does. If not, he's just for whatever. He kind of does have a moral compass though, but he has to override his almost like his psychopathic streak or something. But I just love this character. He did such a great job. Well, I have to say, the best thing about this season, honestly, is Marcos and Neros. I love this character, man. What a fantastic villain. The guy who plays him just knocks it out of the park. You can just tell he's like so much ego in this guy. And he doesn't look like a big guy. He's like shorter than a lot of the other characters, but like he's so much ego and arrogance. But the other thing is just how he can just talk his way into anything, in and out of any situation. And that's just makes him like so dangerous, because he is so incredibly charismatic that people just follow him, because he can just sell this dream to the belters, and he can just, project that, like, I'm the guy, I'm the savior, look what I've done for the belt. I've done what, we've only dreamed of by hitting Earth with these rocks. So, really good stuff. He did such a great job, and the actor does just fantastically. He's always kind of like whispering a little bit, so he's always like he's just not gone ready to snap, like at any moment, like he's just totally crazy, but still enough in control to be calculating and things like that. Great job. I can't wait to see more of him in the next season. It's going to be fantastic. So this season, overall, I really did like it. I actually really enjoyed this one. I liked it more than last season, I have to be honest, and I really don't understand why a lot of people don't like it, but we'll start to get, now I'm going to start to get into some of the controversial stuff. So one thing, before I get into the real controversial point, because there is one thing about the season I did not like, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with me on this one. First of all, is the epilogue, where they set up events for books 7 and 8. I'm like, so okay, well, you're not going to do those books, but you're setting up stuff that is going to be like that's a major thing in those books coming up. It's not going to be a major thing next season unless they're going to somehow do 3 books in one season. I don't know, but I didn't even think they were going to bring this stuff up if they're just going to end the series with one more season. But they're setting it all up with Duarte and Laconia, all that stuff that turns into a huge thing in book 7, and I'm assuming 8, 9. Because book 7 was the last book I read. I read that one recently. And it's all about these guys, book 7. All about when they come back into, play in the universe of the Expanse. And it's pretty good. It'll make for, if they do it, it'll make for a fantastic season, because that last book, I really like that last book. So that's why I just find it so puzzling. They're just going to end it next season, but then they're not really going to end it. They're going to take a hiatus. So I don't know what's going on. I've heard all these different stories. So I'm hoping they continue on. Now, I know people saying, well, they can't do it because of the time jump and the books. Well, they haven't followed the books anyway, so they don't even have really to do the time jump. You could have it, and you don't have to have it 30 years. You can make it a decade or whatever, or I don't know. You can find some way around it. So now, one thing I couldn't stand in the season that happened at the end, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with me of why this was so controversial. The death of Alex. So we all know why this happened. I put the video out there talking about this, and it's like the most viewed video I've ever done. I was actually blown away by how many people watched that video. It's up to 25,000 views now. And I thought maybe I'd get a couple hundred when I did the video. And people, it's over 500 comments. Very kind of split down the middle. It's almost got as many downvotes as it does upvotes. The whole controversy with him and the sexual assault allegations. So we know why they had to get rid of him. Which I don't know how I feel about killing off the character instead of recasting him, but I guess that was the other solution, because the Expanse books have a lot of characters in them. And a lot of those characters you don't see show up on the show. So I guess that's the route they went. They just used another existing character. It's already from the books and has already appeared on the show, and it's Bull. So they set Bull up to be his replacement, and that's who the new pilot is going to be. It's going to be Bull from now on, going forward for the Rosinante. But his death felt so last minute and tacked on. There was nothing leading up to it. There was no setup. There was nothing. Everything was fine, and all of a sudden, there's no even hint that he's having any trouble with the G-forces when they're going in the high burn, and then he just has a stroke and dies. And it felt really tacked on and last minute, his death scene, because they had this whole season in the can when all those allegations started coming out and stuff about him. So I guess they had to quickly rush and do this. Or do you think at the very least they would have, I don't know, instead of just getting rid of the character and killing him off, why not have him reunite with his family, or go back and he works things out with his wife and he just stays on Mars or something instead of just dying? And he kind of died and he didn't get to reconcile anything with his wife or his kid. So it just seems like a really sad ending for a character. So yeah, especially because he doesn't die in the books. He keeps going on in the books, which kind of sucks that they killed him off in the show, or they didn't recast him or anything. But I guess that's going to be the guy now that takes his place as Bull. I don't know how I feel about that. Well, I do know how I don't like it. That's how I feel about it. I do know how I feel about it. But it is what it is, I guess. It sucks, and that's all there is to it. So that part definitely didn't like about the season. That was a downer. But overall, I still am enjoying the show. Still looking forward to the next season. And I'm going to be curious of how they wrap it up. If that's actually the last season, how they're going to wrap up this whole thing they set up with the Laconians and the Martian Navy. You know, that was the price that Marcos paid to get all that weapon, was proto-molecule. And they took the proto-molecule. They went through that gate. They closed up. They got it all mined up so you can't go through there. And then they found that weird alien thing in the sky, in the orbit around that planet. I know what it is because I've read the books and they explain what that thing is. But if you don't read the books, you're just watching the show, you're going to be wondering, what the hell is that thing that they got up that's in the sky, that they activated with the proto-molecule, that they paid for by supplying the Free Navy with a bunch of ships, Martian warships and stuff like that. So I'm not going to say what it is, but it's something that will give them a huge advantage over Earth and Mars and the Builders and everyone else if they ever decide to go forward with more seasons after season 6 with which I really hope they do, because there's so much more to the story that needs to be told. But I have to say, overall, I did enjoy this season and look forward to season 6. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.